Hey, it's your old pal Lucid Stu again, and this is Stu's News, a review of American high-speed rail happenings over the last month. In this March 2026 episode, we'll take a look at what went down in February. Starting off with California high-speed rail and the biggest news of the month, the Rail Authority has released its draft 2026 business plan. It's a bait and switch! The authority now proposes to connect Phase 1 San Francisco to Anaheim via Los Angeles using an additional 40 miles of existing slow-speed track between Palmdale and LA for a total savings of $2 billion? That's not totally true because the authority claims it's saving us $105 billion with its new updated estimate over the original plan, which the authority now says would have cost $231 billion. In other words, we've been lied to for over a decade. I figure this interim Phase 1 connection would be about 50% slower than Phase 1 is supposed to be, and that there would still be about $30 billion worth of work remaining to meet the statutory 2-hour 40-minute LA to San Francisco requirement in Prop 1A from 2008, the ballot measure that defined California high-speed rail and provided for initial funding. That would bring the true Phase 1 cost to $160 billion. This type of chicanery is exactly why time requirements were built into Prop 1A, and the authority is planning to kneecap the project in this manner anyway. So that's the big bombshell. It's still about $128 billion, but now that's for the crap version. There's plenty more to talk about in the draft 2026 business plan because this isn't the only tomfoolery present, but I'm going to save the rest for a dedicated video coming soon. In related news, Authority CEO Ian Chowdhury was arrested on suspicion of misdemeanor battery. He ultimately was not charged, and that was that. You may think I'm being salacious here by bringing it up, but this led to Sacramento reporters doing some digging and uncovering what appears to be possible corruption, wherein Chowdhury's fiancée was recently hired by a consulting firm that has a $24 million contract with the High-Speed Rail Authority. Is this an innocent mistake, a conflict of interest, or influence peddling? You decide. Either way, it's yet another stain on the project. Speaking of that, let's take a look at the monthly Central Valley reports. Capital outlay budget summary: $145.7 million expended in December. Keep in mind these reports run 2 months behind. That's lackluster. You'll notice they've revised the yearly budget downward by $600 million. They're 20% behind that currently, and the odds are long that they'll be able to hit this 22% weaker budget. On top of the record $537 million change order last month, we have another $150 million worth this month. Not to worry, the slush fund, contingency fund, still has $3.8 billion left. Even at the current rate, that should hold it through the completion of the initial 119 miles. Design build expenditure for December was unimpressive. January is looking even worse. It is the slow season. They might make up for it in spring. Every year I've said this, and they've failed to do so, so cross your fingers. Construction progress on structures. They're a couple behind the forecast from a few months ago. The current forecast is to have the last of the structures of the initial 119 miles underway by March. Guideway, 80 miles completed. That is 10 miles less than the schedule from a few months ago. The March forecast is now 6 miles behind the schedule from last September. At this pace, they'll be pressed for time to complete by the end of 2026. That's reflected in the CP1 earned value chart, which shows they're dangerously close to running behind schedule with an unencouraging trend line to boot. Can they reverse course and pull it off? This is another thing we've been asking for years with disappointing results. The CP4 railhead is progressing, additional site work is being done, road access is being built, fencing has gone up. I don't see any mention of the secure facilities they're going to need to combat copper thieves, so it's likely work will continue beyond May of this year. That'll do it for California high-speed rail. Let's proceed east to Brightline West. Field work has been reactivated. This time they're doing some geotechnical work in the I-15 median between Devore, California and Victorville, California. Last time they restarted pre-construction, it looked like they'd be finalizing financing. They're hoping to do that soon with a $6 billion railroad rehabilitation and improvement financing loan from the federal government. Like California High-Speed Rail though, hopes and reality haven't quite matched up to date. I'll be in Las Vegas in a couple of weeks. If you happen to see me out on Interstate 15, take a picture of my license plate and send it to me on X at lucid_stew. I'll put your handle in the next Stews News. How will you know it's me? It shouldn't be too hard to guess. Let's continue east from Brightline West and we'll stop off at Texas. Some DFW high-speed transportation news for you. The Dallas City Council just made it that much more difficult for the project to run through Dallas above ground, adding new areas of the city where that will not be allowed. Coincidentally, those areas happen to be ones that the North Central Texas Council of Governments wants to use to run rail above ground in Dallas. Imagine that! The rhetoric in Dallas is that they should receive an underground station, since both Fort Worth and Arlington are planned to get one on the 21-mile high-speed rail line meant to hook up with a future Texas Central Railway just south of downtown Dallas, 7 stories above ground. An underground Dallas station would essentially kill both projects. That's all for Texas. We'll continue on to the East Coast, first checking in with Brightline in Florida. More financial maneuvering as Brightline has convinced owners of their Series 2025B commuter bond to allow a deferment of interest payment from February to April. Brightline is currently planning to issue some sort of equity with substantial proceeds. Perhaps this indicates they plan to have that completed by April. Since we're in the Brightline Investor Report, let's take a look at the rest. Brightline indicating ridership in January of 2026 was up a paltry 8% over January of 2025, but revenue was up 14% as they continue to tweak pricing and operations in an effort to become profitable. They increased revenue by raising prices on long-distance smart tickets and slashing prices on short-distance premium-level tickets. This grew more lucrative premium ridership substantially. Looks like it paid off. However, as you know from previous Stews News, Brightline needs to raise their revenue about 50% over last year to be long-term viable, so there's still more work to do. Before we leave Florida, we have some more Stuart drama. The estimated cost of the proposed Stuart, Florida Brightline station has gone up from $60 to $87 million. This is reflected in Martin County's $70 million application for a National Railroad Partnership Program grant. That program has a $5 billion pot this year, and awards should be announced in summer. That's all for Brightline. We'll now head up the coast to a steadily melting Acela and the NEC. Construction on the Gateway project is underway again after a 2-week pause. The Trump administration stopped the flow of federal funding to the project meant to improve the Northeast Corridor between New Jersey and New York City, including the Hudson River Tunnel project to build 2 new rail lines under the North River. A federal district judge granted New York and New Jersey a temporary restraining order after New York and New Jersey sued. Now people are back to work on the project. The Gateway program posted evidence of this at a few different Hudson River Tunnel project sites. Though significant progress has been made there, the project is still in early days with expected completion in 2035. In NEC adjacent news, Amtrak officials hinted that the government-run company might undergo a restructuring, reordering Amtrak as a holding company that would oversee separate units dedicated to infrastructure, operations, and rolling stock management. Not much to go on now, but we'll keep an eye on it as it may impact Amtrak's operations on the NEC. Speaking of Amtrak, unfortunately their monthly update was published late yet again. We'll get to that next month. It was a light month on the NEC, so we will say farewell to that. Now it's time for Stu's Boo Boos, where I go over everything I missed or got wrong last month. We had a couple of minor boo-boos that didn't make the quote good one threshold, but one that did was me calling the Penn Station Access Project the East Side Access Project. Those are actually separate projects. East Side Access is the MTA initiative to extend its Long Island Railroad service into Grand Central Madison. Penn Station access is also an MTA initiative, but this time to extend MTA Metro North service to New York Penn Station by using the NEC. At once an easy mistake to make and a difficult pair to confuse. That was spotted by friend of the channel PenzyFan19. Go check out his channel for the most efficient rail news on the internet. I do. And you get a gold star. That brings your gold star spotted boo-boo total to 28. Silver stars for a boo-boo free month, 11. As always, if you find a boo-boo in this presentation or something I missed, let me know in the comments. If it's a good one, you win a prize. A big thanks to the Stew Crew Discord server for their continued help. If you'd like to join our motley crew, check out the invite in the description. I've been asked to provide additional avenues to helping the channel out financially, so now you can buy me a coffee, or you can join my Patreon to get early and/or additional content. Check out the links to those in the description. You can also visit my poster store and get yourself a nifty railroad-themed poster. Plenty more videos to come. California High-Speed Rail Draft 2026 business plan soon, and then Las Vegas after that. But that's all for now. Until next time, I'll see you on that big, beautiful freeway.